Okay, so here's the problem. Little Timmy, with a mass of 50 kilograms, accelerates from rest to some final velocity. He does this in a distance of 15 meters. His acceleration is due to a dog pulling on a rope, which is attached to LT. The dog pulls with a constant force of 400 newtons. LT experiences the force of friction on a flat surface with a coefficient of friction equal to 0.5. What is LT's final velocity? So we know the mass is 50 kilograms because it says it right here, and then from displacement is 15 meters. And we know that the initial velocity is 0 because it says from rest. We don't know v, that's what we're trying to find, which is the final velocity, and then mu is, or the coefficient of friction is 0.5. So first we're going to start off with a free body diagram. So there is the force of gravity, or mg, and then the reaction force. Then we have the force of the dog pulling on little Timmy, and then the force of friction, which is mu times r. So we know from Newton's second law that the sum of the forces equals ma. And so we need to find the sum of the forces in the x direction and the y direction. So we'll start off with the y. So the sum of the forces in the y direction equal ma. And since there is no acceleration because these two cancel out, there is no, that f of y equals 0. And so that means r minus mg equals 0. Therefore, r equals mg. And this way we can find r. So after we do that, we need to find r. So r equals 50 kilograms times times 10 meters per second squared. This comes out to be 500 newtons. So now that we have found the forces in the y direction, let's find the forces in the x direction. The sum of the forces in the x direction equals ma. And so we need to find the force of friction, and then we need to find the sum of those two forces. So the force of friction, or the force of friction, equals mu times r. And so we know that both of those, so the force of friction equals 0.5 times 500 N, which comes out to be 250 newtons. So then, since I've set that that positive is to the right, it will be 400 newtons minus 250 newtons. And this will give us the sum of the forces in the x direction. So 400 minus 250 is 150 newtons. We can then use this 150 newtons to find acceleration with F equals ma. So we know F, which is 150, and we know mass, which is 50, and we don't know A. So to find A, we will just do 150 over 50, which gives us 3, and then this is our acceleration. Using that acceleration, we can determine the final velocity using v squared equals u squared plus 2as, which is final velocity squared equals initial velocity squared plus 2 times acceleration times displacement. So we don't know v squared, but we do know u squared, which is 0. And then we know acceleration, which is 3 meters per second squared, and we know displacement, which is 15 meters. With this, we can then use algebra and find the final answer. So v squared equals 2 times 3 times 15, which is v squared equals 90. So to find the final velocity, we need to square root both sides. So v equals the square root of 90, and the square root of 90 is approximately 9.487. And this is the final velocity, which is what the question was asking for, so this is the answer. 9.487 meters per second.